My wife got completely wasted at a company event and loudly announced to her coworkers, "He's such a pathetic doormat that I could sleep with someone right in front of him, and he'd apologize for being in the way." I was waiting to drive her home and overheard everything from the lobby. When she stumbled out, I didn't say a word. She woke up the next morning to find all her belongings packed in boxes on the front porch, and the locks changed. 78 missed calls and a dozen angry voicemails later. I wasn't a doormat. I was just done with her disrespect. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. So, I, 36 male, run my own plumbing business in the Midwest. Not the glamorous job that gets you invited to fancy cocktail parties, but it's honest work that pays the bills and then some. I started from absolute zero with just a second-hand van and the tools my old man left me when he passed away from a heart attack when I was 25. Growing up, we weren't poor, but we definitely weren't rich either. Dad was a factory worker for 35 years. Mom cleaned houses for wealthy families. They busted their asses to put me through trade school, and I promised myself I'd make something of it. After Dad died, I took the insurance money and his tools and started my own business. First few years were rough, eating ramen, working 14-hour days, sleeping on a mattress on the floor of a studio apartment that smelled like the previous tenant's cats. But I was determined. I underbid competitors to get my first few jobs, then let my work speak for itself. Word of mouth is everything in a small city, and soon I had regular clients and even hired my first employee. By 29, I'd saved enough to put a down payment on a modest 4-bedroom ranch-style house on a half-acre lot in a decent neighborhood. Nothing fancy, popcorn ceilings, outdated kitchen, carpets that had seen better days, but it was mine. I spent weekends and evenings slowly renovating it myself. New bathroom fixtures, obviously plumber here, new kitchen counters, tore up the carpet for hardwood floors in the main areas. Financially, I was solid. Had about $142,000 in my business account and another $55,000 in personal savings. Drove a 2015 F-150 that I paid off in full. No debt except the mortgage. I'm the guy who still uses a physical ledger book alongside QuickBooks because that's how my dad taught me, and it keeps me disciplined. Every penny in, every penny out. Old school? Maybe. Effective? Absolutely. My dating life was never anything special. Had a few relationships that fizzled out, mostly because I was spending 70 hours a week building my business. Some women said I was too focused on work or not spontaneous enough. Fair criticism, I guess. I've never been the life of the party type. Then I met Amber at my buddy Dave's place 3 years ago. She was a friend of Dave's wife, in town visiting for the weekend. She worked as an account executive at some digital marketing firm downtown, making around $85,000 plus bonuses, or so she told me. Designer clothes, perfect makeup, hair always done, nails always perfect, way out of my league looks-wise, or so I thought. She was renting a luxury apartment downtown with her friend Tiffany, paying $2,100 a month for her half. Again, according to her. I still remember that first conversation. She seemed genuinely interested in my business, asked smart questions about growth strategies and market positioning, used all these fancy marketing terms that made my humble plumbing business sound like a Fortune 500 company. For a regular guy like me who usually gets the "oh, that's nice" response when I mention my job, having this gorgeous woman actually engaged was intoxicating. We exchanged numbers, and to my surprise, she texted me the next day. Our first date was at this farm-to-table restaurant that cost me $200, but seeing her face light up when she talked about her career goals made it worth every penny. She was ambitious, funny, and seemed to really appreciate that I owned my own business, rather than working for someone else. 2 months in, she starts telling me how Tiffany's boyfriend is moving in, and things are getting awkward in the apartment. Three's a crowd and all that. I offer to let her stay at my place temporarily, while she figures things out. 1 week later, she's moved in completely. "I'll pay you rent," she said, as we unloaded the third SUV full of her belongings. We settled on $800 a month, which was laughable considering what a 4-bedroom house would normally rent for. But I didn't care. I was in love, and to me, this was the next logical step in our relationship. First red flag I ignored. She stopped paying even that after month 3, always with some excuse about a big expense coming up. A work trip she had to fund up front and get reimbursed for. Her car needed a new transmission. Her sister was going through a divorce and needed help. I never saw proof of any of these emergencies, but I believed her because, well, I wanted to. Second red flag. She redecorated my entire house without asking. spending my money on essentials that somehow included a $300 decorative mirror and $200 throw pillows. When I questioned the expense, she made me feel small. This is how normal people live, Jake. Don't you want our home to look nice when my friends come over? Our home. Funny how quickly that happened. Third red flag, the subtle digs. You know, my ex Julian took me to the Caymans for my birthday. My friend Melissa's husband surprised her with a Lexus just because. Don't you think it's time to upgrade from the F-150 to something more executive? You know, always comparing, always suggesting I wasn't quite measuring up. But the relationship was good, or so I thought. She was affectionate, the sex was great when she wasn't too tired or not feeling well, and she made me feel like I'd won the lottery just by having her on my arm. So I looked the other way, paid the credit card bills, and told myself this was what being in a grown-up relationship was all about. Fast forward to 6 weeks ago. Amber's company was having their annual spring gala at the Hyatt downtown. Big corporate event with all the executives flying in from headquarters. Awards ceremony. The whole 9 yards. She'd been stressing about it for weeks. What to wear, how to do her hair, who she needed to impress. She'd spent $600 on a new dress, my credit card, naturally, and another $250 on hair and makeup day of. I didn't complain. This was important to her career, and I wanted to be supportive. Will they need partners there too? I'd asked the week before. She laughed. God number. It's all shop talk and networking. You'd be bored to tears. Around 10 p.m. that night, she texts me. Feeling tired? Can you pick me up at midnight? I was actually in the middle of quoting a big commercial job. Potential contract for a new medical building that could set my business up for the whole year. But I wrapped it up and drove downtown. I got to the hotel about 11:45 p.m. and texted her I was in the lobby. She replied, "Still saying goodbyes, be down in 20. The hotel had this weird layout where the ballroom mezzanine overlooked the main lobby. I found a leather chair with a clear view of the elevators and pulled up ESPN on my phone. That's when I heard Amber's distinctive laugh, the high-pitched one she does when she's showing off. I glanced up and saw her with a group of 5 coworkers at the mezzanine railing, all looking down at the lobby. Is your plumber here already?" asked some slick-looking guy in a blue suit, loud enough that it carried down to where I was sitting. "God, yeah, he's probably been waiting for half an hour. He's like a trained puppy," Amber laughed. The group chuckled. "How much longer are you going to milk that cash cow? That house would be perfect for entertaining if it didn't smell like Home Depot," said a blonde woman I recognized as Amber's work friend Kelly. Amber snorted. "At least another year. I've almost got him convinced to add me to the deed for security. After that, who knows?" More laughter. Blue suit guy, later learned his name is Chad, because of course it is, put his arm around her waist in a way that was definitely not just friendly. "He must be good for something, right?" "Not in bed, that's for sure," Amber smirked. "But he's so obsessed with me, I could literally fuck someone right in front of him, and he'd apologize for not being man enough to satisfy me." I felt like I'd been sucker punched in the gut. 3 years together, and this was what she really thought. The worst part wasn't even the disrespect. It was the realization that I'd been living a complete lie. The blonde raised her glass. "Well, here's to men with money who don't know their worth." Amber clinked glasses with her. "The house isn't even that nice, but you should see how he tracks every penny in this little notebook like it's 1950. It's fucking pathetic. That pathetic notebook built my company from nothing to 12 employees and a fleet of trucks. That pathetic notebook is how I afforded the house she was so comfortable living in while contributing exactly jack shit." They continued for another few minutes, laughing about my clothes. Does he own anything that's not from Walmart? My friends? Those Neanderthals? And my naive belief that Amber actually loved me. I sat frozen, my phone forgotten in my hand. Part of me wanted to storm up there and confront them all. A bigger part just felt hollow, like someone had scooped out everything inside me and left an empty shell. Then Slick Chad said something that finally got me moving. "So when are you going to let me see this famous house? Tonight, maybe?" Amber giggled. "Not tonight, but soon. Maybe this weekend when Jake's at that job site in Springfield." That was my cue to leave. I had heard more than enough. I didn't cause a scene, didn't charge up there and confront her. I'm not a dramatic guy. Never have been. I just texted, "Plans changed. Find another ride." Then I blocked her number, walked out to my truck, and sat there for a good 10 minutes, hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. Once I'd collected myself enough to drive, I headed home. On the way, I called my old high school buddy Ryan, who's now a property attorney. It was late, but he picked up on the 4th ring. "Jake, everything okay?" He sounded groggy. "Number need legal advice about Amber. Can you talk?" I explained the situation as factually as I could. Ryan was quiet for a moment after I finished. "She's established residency," he confirmed finally. Even without a formal lease or her name on anything, living there for over a year with your permission gives her certain rights. You need to give formal 30-day notice to vacate. Document everything. Record conversations if Minnesota allows it, which it does as a one-party consent state, by the way. Don't touch her stuff. Don't change the locks until the notice period expires. So I'm just supposed to live with her for a month after this? Unfortunately, yes, unless she chooses to leave earlier. But Jake, you need to protect yourself. She sounds vindictive. Get cameras. Keep records of everything. And whatever you do, don't let her provoke you into anything that could be construed as threatening or retaliatory. I spent the next 2 hours writing a formal eviction notice and making a plan. I printed out bank statements showing all the expenses I'd covered for her, made a list of everything in the house that was mine before she moved in, took photos of each room for documentation. By the time I heard Amber's Uber pull up around 1:30 a.m., I was sitting calmly in the living room, all the paperwork spread out on the coffee table. She stumbled in, makeup smeared, still in party mode until she saw my face. What the fuck, Jake? Why did you ditch me? I had to get a ride from Chad. I handed her the printed notice. I was in the lobby, heard your whole conversation on the mezzanine. You have 30 days to find a new place to live. This is your formal notice according to Minnesota state law. Her face went through the whole range. Confusion, shock, panic, anger, and finally fake tears. Baby, no! I was just joking around. That wasn't me talking. I would never say those things for real. The lease termination is non-negotiable. I'll be sleeping in the spare room with a new lock installed tomorrow. Take what you need immediately. The rest you can get during the notice period. She tried to hug me, touch me, seduce me. The whole playbook. When that didn't work, she switched to threats. You can't do this. This is my home too. I'll tell everyone you hit me. I'll destroy your business reviews online. I know people who can make your life miserable. I just walked away, locked myself in the spare room, and listened to her scream and pound on the door for an hour before she finally gave up. I didn't sleep that night. Just sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall, wondering how I could have been so completely, utterly blind. Next morning was a Saturday, but I took no chances. I was up at 5 a.m., out of the house by 5:30 before Amber woke up. Drove to Home Depot right when they opened. Bought a heavy-duty lock for the spare room, another for my home office, and security cameras for inside and outside the house. I also picked up some plastic storage bins and packing tape. Then I called my buddy Leo, who owns a security company. He owed me a favor after I fixed his mother's plumbing emergency on Christmas Eve 2 years ago. Need some help with a delicate situation, I told him. Leo arrived at 8 a.m. with his installation gear and his assistant Tony. I filled them in on the situation while we worked, installing cameras in the common areas, living room, kitchen, hallway, basement, garage, and all entry points. We made sure they had cloud backup so Amber couldn't just delete footage if she found them. Dude, I always thought something was off with her, Leo admitted while we worked. Remember when she accidentally spilled wine on Sarah at your birthday? Because Sarah used to date you in high school? I'd forgotten about that. There were probably dozens of red flags I'd missed over the years. We also installed the new locks on the spare bedroom and my home office. These weren't just regular locks. They were commercial grade with keypads, the kind you can't just pick or break easily. Want me to change the main house locks too? Leo asked. Not yet. That might be legally questionable during the notice period. We'll do that once she's officially out. By noon, we had transformed the house into a surveillance fortress. Leo gave me access to the app that would let me monitor everything from my phone, and we tested all the systems. Thanks, man. Send me the bill. Leo shook his head. No bill. Just buy me a beer sometime and tell me she's gone for good. When Amber finally woke up around noon, the waterworks started immediately. She came downstairs in one of my old t-shirts, a manipulation tactic she'd used before when trying to seem vulnerable, and tried to hug me. Jake, please, let's talk about this. I love you. I was just trying to sound cool for my coworkers. You know how it is in corporate. Everyone talks big. I stepped back. Your notice period ends May 15th. Here's a printed copy of everything that belongs to me versus what you brought into the relationship. I handed her the detailed inventory I'd made. Any items in dispute will be settled in small claims court. She scanned the list, and her eyes widened. You're itemizing kitchen utensils? Are you serious right now? I purchased those before you moved in. They stay. You're really throwing away 3 years over one stupid comment? It wasn't a comment. It was the truth. Your truth. I'm just finally listening. That's when she noticed the camera in the corner of the living room. Are you recording me? That's illegal. That's an invasion of privacy. It's my house and Minnesota is a one-party consent state. The cameras stay. She stormed around the house, slammed doors, called me every name in the book, threatened to call the police, I encouraged her to do so since I had done nothing illegal. Threatened to call her lawyer brother, who I knew was actually a paralegal in a completely different state. When nothing worked, she finally left, saying she needed space to think. The moment she was gone, I called my locksmith buddy Matt. Need a favor, man. Can you come rekey my garage door? It's complicated. Matt came over within the hour, no questions asked. He rekeyed the external garage door, and we moved all her non-essential belongings into the garage. Clothes, makeup, shoes, books, decorative items, everything except what she'd need for the next couple of days. And I texted her, "Your things are in the garage. Access code is 5546. You can come get them anytime between 5 to 9 p.m. on weekdays, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. weekends. I will not be present during these times." Then I installed another camera in the garage to make sure she didn't steal or damage anything that wasn't hers. That evening, she came back with puffy eyes and a different strategy. The sobbing, heartbroken girlfriend. "Jake, I know I messed up, but please don't throw away 3 years over one stupid night. I was just showing off. You know those corporate people? They're all fake. I have to play the game to get ahead. I just repeated the terms. Your belongings are in the garage. The notice period stands. Where am I supposed to go? I can't afford a place on such short notice. That sounds like a personal problem. Perhaps Chad can help you out." Her eyes narrowed. "You're going to regret this. I've got dirt on you too, you know." I almost laughed. "What dirt? That I work hard? That I was stupid enough to believe you loved me? Go ahead, tell everyone." She stormed out again, and I locked the door behind her. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe in my own house. Over the next week, things got crazy. Amber tried everything. Crying, screaming, seduction, guilt, threats, even showing up with her mom, who I'd always gotten along with. "Jake, honey," her mom Linda pleaded, "everyone says things they don't mean sometimes. Amber's sorry. She's absolutely devastated. Linda, I've always respected you, so I'll be honest. Would you stay with a man who called you pathetic behind your back and was planning to get his name on your house through manipulation? Would you find that acceptable for your daughter?" Linda looked uncomfortable. "Well, no, but there's no but. Amber showed me exactly who she is and what she thinks of me. I'm just finally believing her." That shut her up quick. She left without another word to me, though I heard her arguing with Amber in the driveway. The next day, Amber's tactics changed again. She started moving some of her things out of the garage, making a big show of it whenever I happened to be home. "See? I'm respecting your wishes. I'm being mature about this." Then she'd try to engage me in conversation, act like we were just having a temporary cooling off period, rather than a permanent split. I didn't engage, just nodded and went about my business. Meanwhile, on day 8, Amber informed me she'd found a place and would be moving out that weekend, way ahead of the 30-day deadline. I just need access to get the rest of my stuff over the next week or two." "That works. Just text me which day. The garage code will work from 5 to 9 p.m. The day she moved out, her new roommate turned out to be Chad from the party. They loaded up his Range Rover with her clothes and essentials. As they were leaving, I overheard him say, "Don't worry, babe. We'll get the rest later. He'll cave eventually." I didn't react, just watched through the security camera. After they left, I changed all the codes again. Then came the social media onslaught. Amber posted vague but pointed comments about controlling men and financial abuse, tagged mutual friends in posts about recognizing the signs of emotional manipulation. Never mentioned me by name, but everyone knew who she was talking about. A few friends called to check if I was okay, and I told them the truth. Most believed me, especially those who had known me before Amber. A few took her side, and I let them go without argument. You find out who your real friends are in times like these. Then I got a text from my cousin Jenny, who works at the same company in HR. "Just so you know, Amber's been telling everyone you were financially abusive and controlled all her money. Also, she and Chad have apparently been hooking up for at least 6 months." That's when the real anger hit me. 6 months. While living in my house. Probably in my bed. But I didn't lash out. Didn't post angry rebuttals online. Didn't drive by her new place or harass her in any way. I just focused on rebuilding my life and protecting what was mine. Over the next few days, I got more texts from mutual friends and even her coworkers. Kelly, the blonde from the party, sent me a surprising message. Amber got me fired by blaming her failed project on me. I have some texts between her and Chad you might want to see. I met Kelly at a coffee shop downtown. She looked different from the party. Less makeup, simpler clothes, definitely more stressed. "Why are you helping me?" I asked, after she handed me her phone with the text exchanges. She sighed. "Amber and I were friends for years. Then she started seeing Chad, who was my boyfriend at the time. When I confronted her, she gaslit me, then got me fired with some made-up performance issues. She's a snake, and I'm tired of her hurting people. The text confirmed they'd been having an affair for months. Even worse, they contained explicit conversations about their plan. Chad, once you're on the deed, we're golden. Amber, just another 2 to 3 months of playing the good girlfriend. Chad, then we sell, split the cash, and upgrade to the downtown condo. Amber, he's such a sucker. Doesn't even question when I use his credit card. I took screenshots and forwarded everything to Ryan. Is this enough to press charges for attempted fraud? Yurtsdot, not quite, he said. But keep collecting evidence. And check your credit report, by the way. Make sure she hasn't opened anything in your name. I froze my credit that same day, then went through months of bank and credit card statements. Found numerous charges I couldn't remember making. Online shopping, cash advances, even a weekend spa trip when she was supposedly visiting her sister. Then came the bombshell. Jenny from HR called me. Jake, you need to know something. Amber and Chad are in serious trouble. They used the company card to pay for hotel rooms and claimed them as client meetings. There's an audit happening next week. Why are you telling me this? Because I think you should be prepared. If they're desperate enough, they might try to involve you or your property somehow. Sure enough, that same evening, Amber texted asking to get some essential documents from the house that she claimed were still in the bedroom. I agreed to let her come by on Saturday, but I wasn't going to just sit back anymore. It was time for some calculated moves. I spent the next 3 days gathering every bit of evidence I could. Credit card statements showing her unauthorized purchases, text messages she'd sent me about emergencies that never existed, photos of items she'd bought with my money that she'd taken to her new place with Chad. I also found something unexpected while going through old emails. A draft amendment to my will that she'd written up, but I'd never signed, that would have left her the house if anything happened to me. I had no memory of ever discussing this with her. The document had been created while I was recovering from a minor surgery last year and on strong pain medication. That discovery sent a chill down my spine. How far would she have gone? Working with Ryan and Jenny, I crafted a perfect plan. When Amber came to pick up her documents, I had papers ready for her to sign, a legal declaration that she had no claim to my property, and a full acknowledgement of all the money she'd borrowed over the years, totaling $28,456. I also had 2 witnesses present, Leo and his girlfriend Maria, who stayed in the kitchen, out of sight, but within earshot. Amber arrived looking like she'd prepared for a reconciliation. Hair done, full makeup, tight dress that I'd bought her for her birthday. Jake, she said softly, stepping toward me. You look good. I've missed you. The documents you wanted are on the table, I said, gesturing to the dining room, along with some paperwork of my own. She frowned but followed me to the table. What is this? She asked when I presented her with the legal documents. Sign these, and I'll sign this. I showed her a document promising not to press charges for credit card fraud for the times she'd borrowed my card without permission. I had receipts and security footage from stores proving it wasn't me using the card. You wouldn't, she stammered. You have no proof. I played the recording of her and Chad discussing their deed scheme, then showed her a spreadsheet detailing every fraudulent charge, complete with dates and timestamps. Finally, I pulled out the draft amendment to my will. Care to explain this? I was on Percocet when this was created. Her face went white. How did you? Sign or I call the police right now and forward everything to your company. I believe they're already conducting an audit? Her eyes widened. Jenny told you. That bitch. Sign the papers, Amber. She glared at me but picked up the pen. As she was signing, I noticed something on her wrist. A new Cartier bracelet that retailed for about $7,000. Definitely not something she could afford on her own, especially after just moving. A nice bracelet, I commented. Company expense account? She flinched but didn't answer, just kept signing. When she was done, I had Leo and Maria come in to witness my signature on my portion of the agreement. You brought witnesses? You really think I'm going to what? Deny signing this? Just being thorough. Like with my pathetic notebook. She had the decency to look embarrassed at that. As she was leaving, I handed her an envelope. What's this? Open it outside. In the envelope was proof I'd already sent evidence of her corporate card misuse to her company's audit committee, plus screenshots of Chad's Tinder profile that Kelly had sent me. Active as of yesterday, with messages to at least 3 women about how he was just crashing with a friend temporarily and definitely single. I watched on the security camera as she opened it in her car. The scream was audible even from inside the house. She tried to come back to the door, but I had already locked it and turned off the exterior lights. 3 days later, Jenny called. Amber and Chad got fired today. They're under investigation for expense fraud. And get this, Chad threw her under the bus completely, claimed it was all her idea. Not surprised. There's more. They found evidence she was skimming from client accounts. Small amounts here and there, but it adds up to over $15,000. The company is pressing charges. I thanked Jenny for the update, but told her that chapter of my life was closed. I had no interest in Amber's problems anymore. A week after that, I got a desperate text from Amber. Jake, please, I'm going to be evicted. They're pressing charges. Chad left me. Please help me. I'm sorry for everything. And I didn't respond. But I did frame the message and hang it in my garage next to my pathetic notebook. 2 days later, another text. They're saying it's felony embezzlement. Jake, please, I need a lawyer. I have no money left. Then another. Can I just stay in your spare room until this blows over? I have nowhere to go. And finally, Mom won't even take me in. She says I need to face the consequences. Please, Jake, I know you still care about me. I blocked her number for good this time. 3 days later, her mother Linda called me. Jake, I know my daughter hurt you badly, and I'm not asking you to forgive her, but she's facing serious charges and has nowhere to go. Is there anything you can do? Linda, I'm sorry for what you're going through as a mother, but Amber made her choices. She didn't just hurt me, she was planning to defraud me, possibly worse given that will amendment. I can't help her. I understand, Linda said quietly. I just had to try. For what it's worth, I'm sorry for what she did to you. You deserved better. 2 months later, my business landed the contract to remodel the executive bathrooms at Amber's former company. The CEO himself praised my attention to detail and meticulous record keeping. We've had some issues with employees lately who weren't so careful with the details, he told me as we shook hands on the deal. It's refreshing to work with someone who values integrity. My house is now fully redecorated in my style. Simpler, more comfortable, with a big leather couch and a 75-inch TV for football Sundays. I upgraded my truck to a 2023 model. My buddy Leo and his fiancée come over for poker nights, and Ryan helped me set up a proper legal structure for expanding my business into commercial properties. As for Amber, last I heard from mutual friends, she took a plea deal for the embezzlement charges, probation and restitution, but no jail time. She'd moved back in with her parents in Ohio. Chad apparently skipped town altogether when the fraud investigation expanded to other expenses. Sometimes at night, I sit on my deck with a beer and flip through my pathetic notebook, looking at how far I've come. The newest entry, house equity, $175,000. Lesson learned, priceless. The irony isn't lost on me. Amber thought I was pathetic for tracking every penny, yet that same attention to detail is what protected me from her schemes and ultimately exposed her. She thought I was obsessed with her, but really I was just a guy who believed in what we were building together. The biggest lesson I learned? Trust your gut and never ignore red flags. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And always, always keep receipts, both literal and metaphorical. My business is now expanding into commercial contracts. I've added 4 more employees, and I'm looking at buying a rental property next year. Not bad for a pathetic plumber with a notebook. Edit. To answer the top questions, yes, all of this was legal. I gave proper notice and consulted an attorney from day one. No, we were never married, thank God. Yes, I've since learned about common law marriage and made sure all documentation showed she was basically a tenant. To the people saying I should have confronted her at the party, and what? Make a scene like some insecure asshole? Actions speak louder than words. Yes, I really do keep a physical notebook alongside digital records. It was good enough for my dad, it's good enough for me. That discipline is why I could afford a house at 29, while her fancy marketing friends were still renting. For those asking if I pressed charges, no, but her company did. Not my circus, not my monkeys anymore. Some people are calling me cold or calculating. Damn right I was. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time and protect yourself accordingly. No, I'm not sharing the security camera footage of her meltdown. That would probably be illegal and definitely be a dick move, no matter what she did. For the lawyers asking about the will amendment, yes, I reported it to the proper authorities. No, nothing came of it because it was never executed or filed. Yes, it still scares the shit out of me to think about. Edit 2. Just to clarify, I'm not saying all women are like this. My mom worked cleaning houses for 35 years and is the most honest person I know. This is about one specific entitled person who thought she could use me as a stepping stone. In Edit 3, since people keep asking, yes, I'm doing fine. Business is up 32% this year. Just hired 2 more guys. Started dating again recently. Nothing serious. And no, I'm not bitter. I'm actually grateful. Without this wake-up call, I might have ended up actually putting her on the deed. Sometimes trash takes itself out. Final update. It's been 6 months since this all went down. Amber pleaded guilty to lesser charges and got 2 years probation plus restitution. She's working at her dad's hardware store in Ohio now. Ironic given how she looked down on my blue-collar work. Chad apparently fled to Canada, where he had family. My business landed 2 more commercial contracts, and I'm dating a veterinarian who thinks my notebook is adorably responsible. Life moves on. Thanks for all the support, Reddit. Ease.